And without further ado, I guess we should move on to our reviews, starting off with Toast. What do you have for us?
Gone.
He's
You
dead.
guys, do you guys, you guys like the Yowamushi pedal, right?
Sure.
I mean, it was popular for sure.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really fucking popular.
What if I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a segue for this. Whatever. I wa-
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched Rinkai. Why? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So Rinkai is a bicycle cycling anime, like women's cycling anime. It is an anime original, I believe, or it is. I
It,
think it's
it
supposed
is
to be a
a
multimedia project.
multimedia project
Yes,
because a
yes,
manga
by
also came
Atlantis.
out at the same time. So
Yes, yes, yes. So I believe TMS Entertainment and Six Studio are helping to co-produce it. Mainly, I think TMS Entertainment people.
Yeah.
Helping obviously with the production and overlooking the multimedia project is Atlantis. So please
Wow.
do go on, Toast.
so I how, one two. Let me count. One, two, three, four. Was it five? I think it was five, right? Yeah. So it's apparently in this world, bicycling originated in Japan. It is the mecca
Just
of
like the people
bicycling,
from Mars.
Humanity has roots in Japan.
Yeah.
which is weird because I had to ask these dudes. I was like, I don't think bicycling's from Japan. Isn't it like a French thing? Because like the fancy French race that's popular every year. What's it called? The Tour de France.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Tour
bicycling?
de France.
But yeah, so I bring this up because, but yeah, so and then the synopsis on my anime list is women's bicycle racing was born during the post-war period of turmoil. And then
What?
I don't know what that means. But so, yeah, so it was a popular sport for about 15 years after post World War II, and then it ended. But now they're back
The
somehow
sport ended.
as the sport,
Okay.
and then they came back as the Rinkai League. So this is a story about a bunch of girls from all over Japan who have been inspired by, I believe, these two specific rate cyclists. They're one of the. It's their names are Kurme Sutsuji and
Lance Armstrong.
this. This my anime list sucks. It doesn't even have the all the main characters. And I think what's her name? Tachibana? Whatever. These two. Okay, Tachikawa Reimu and Kurme Sutsuji. These are like the two racing queens of called what's the sport called in Japan?
What?
Or just women cycling?
Tracks like track cycling? I have no
K
idea.
Keirin. Keirin. And
Okay.
I guess.
Keirin is a sport where you've ever seen a velodrome and whatnot. It's track cycling, so
Yeah, it's track
it's the
cycling.
one where the dudes bike around in a velodrome, which is like this big arena that's elevated, like in a big circle, and you ride around it, whatnot. It's different from Yowamushi pedal, which is what marathon biking.
Yeah.
This is like an indoor sport and whatnot. But yeah, so these group of five girls who are who have a YouTube channel that follow these two race queens. They watch a race and they're like, "Damn, we saw a race live. Let's all become cyclists." And so that's their reason for becoming
Wow.
cyclists. So there's a I should have wrote down the names. So the main character is Ito Izumi, who's voiced by Umino Kawamura. I I
Are they
believe this
mostly
is
new
her.
people?
Yeah,
Or
looks like her. This is her debut
so they're
role.
treating it kind of like an idol project, right? Right? Like
Sure.
2D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
And then Kumamoto Ai, voiced by Minami Hinata, who is not new.
Okay.
Sorry, I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet I know why, but yeah. And then three others. They're not really that important. One of them's named Miko. I believe she was like the administrator of the website that they made. But then there's some older chick. And then there's some rich Ojo-sama. I forget their names, but they're not important because I'll bring it up later. But yeah, so the main character is basically Ito Izumi, Kumamoto Ai, and the rival character, Hiratsuka Nana, voiced by Azusa Aoi. And I bring her up this early because she's half French. Get it?
Wow.
Okay.
Get it? Because bicycling originated in France, so she has the genetic. She's the genetic Ubermensch of the series. So that's why
Okay.
she's like the powerful main rival that appears, who beats everyone else because she's half French
Okay.
and she trains overseas and whatnot. But yeah, so they see a race, and then they're like, "Hey, let's all the five of us. That's Miko, Izumi, and the three others. They're like, let's become cyclists together." And they're like, "Okay." But Izumi's like, "No, I don't know if I can," because she's a wishy-washy, indecisive main character because she's just 17. She she makes a big deal like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to make cycling my entire life. Like, maybe I just want to go to college or whatnot." But then, uh, but then Kurume, who is like one of the two racing queens that I mentioned earlier, she shows up because they were all in a hot spring together, and she was at the hot spring too. And she's like, "Hey, uh, live your dreams and whatnot. I'm rooting for you. We need to promote women's bike racing and whatnot, bicycling." They're like, "Damn, she spoke to us. We must become cyclists." Except for Izumi and whatnot.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's a bunch of that, and then Izumi's like the other four are like already starting to become cyclists. They're like training and whatnot, and Izumi's like floundering around saying, "Oh, I don't know if I want to be this." And then she talks to a Dagashi owner, who's this old lady and whatnot. And oh, well, before that, Izumi directly sent a letter to Kurumi asking her like Kurume asking like, "Hey, should I become a cyclist even though you said we should?" And she's like, "Do you like Dagashi?" Which is some cryptic way of like saying, "Hey, go to this Dagashi shop." Because apparently, when Izumi decides to become a cyclist somehow, like through an episode, the Dagashi owner, which is this old lady, takes her to an underground bunker where, lo and behold, turns out she's one of the legendary cyclists from 15 years ago during the post Japan World War era. So
Uh-huh.
Izumi gets training from her, and with that, and while she gets training, the five of them all apply to this Rinkai school. Is that what it's called? Sure, the Rinkai school.
Academy, I guess, or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
where they're all training to become cyclists, and it's an interesting academy because it's uh, would you call it it's more like a training school? Anyone
Yeah,
can
it's
join
some
regardless
sort
of
of
age
yeah.
because
Some sort of educational thing related to Rinkai.
one of the because like everyone's like between the ages of 17 to 26, so whatever. I guess there's no limit on what age you have to can be to become an athlete and whatnot. And so yeah, that's basically where we're at now. The first three episodes were about Izumi trying to like find her focus and apply to this Rinkai school, and now we're at the part where they're in the training arc to join the big leagues. And there's so far as of today, there's about 5 episodes and whatnot. So yeah, training.
So is
It's
this from your guess? Is this going to be? I know it's a little bit hard to just kind of say it, especially since, um, because the story is going to have to mesh well with what the author, not what the authors, what the sort of producers, right, of the multimedia project have in mind with regards to the overall story and lore of the multimedia project, right? So it's a little bit hard to just be like, oh, what do you think is going to happen? But um, is this going to mainly just after they all kind of get settled in to the training academy or whatever, right? Is it going to just go over the backgrounds and like current motivations of the characters and then they all run off into the sunset, do you think? Because that's like a standard setup for a multimedia project, kind of idle ish series, right? Or do you think it's going to be folk, at least because it's an anime, right? Near the end, they're going to be focusing on this one big event, and after quickly setting up all the characters, they're just going to all have them pile into practicing and performing at that big tournament or whatever. How do you think that the rest of the anime is going to kind of end up taking place?
so far the entire story has been all seriousness. There's like barely any comedic moments in this entire series. It's like, hey,
Okay.
we're gonna do this. We're training to get to this school. We got to this school, and now we're training to become like professional athletes. And
Mm.
that's about it so far. So from what I don't know, maybe there's going to be some big cycling tournament that everyone can participate in, like near the end of the series.
I mean, more than likely, right? This seems like a fairly standard sports anime, right?
It's pretty
So they
standard. Yeah.
they go through the
Well,
training
Yeah.
arc, they go through the tournament arc stuff, right?
they
I just think that there's a higher chance of them, like after they introduce the character, they just go, "Wow, that's we're gonna have more because we're gonna have more adventures." Because again, that's the whole like, um, it's like the setup for an anime that's a promotion for a multimedia project. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
I I
Maybe.
want to say that they've taken ideas from Blue Lock because in
Okay.
Blue Lock the overall constant theme of that series is ego. Like you have to have this hunger to be like I want to become the number one striker in the world, which is what the Blue Lock Protocol is. It's a training camp to produce Japan's number one striker, and whatnot. And so everyone's like fighting each other pretty hard. But in
Hmm.
this series, the overall like constant theme is rivalry in a way.
Yeah, I
They
mean, also it's not a battle royale like Blue Lock is really. So,
they may they introduce these two racing queens, like the two top women racers together, and say, oh, they're rivals and they're friends. And
hmm.
the the one that's moving the one that's moving the story along and is acting more of a main character than Izumi is Kumamoto Ai, who's the pink one. She's the one who was the first one to say, "Hey, let's all become cyclists together." And I want to become the number one cyclist. And she's the first one to say this here, that Nana, the blue one,
Hmm.
who he's the first one to say, going to I'm going to make her my rival and whatnot. And she's the one always constantly like overtraining. Like in every episode, you see she's training harder and harder than anyone else in order to beat her, even though Nana's like obviously the top number one at that school. She's the she's the undisputed second. Uh, Kumamoto Ai is. So yeah, she's the one saying, "Oh, I'm in here. She's my rival. I must beat her." And then Izumi is the ones who has been shown to have the potential because her times are good, and
So
Karume
mostly,
saying she's the one that's like, "Oh, I have my eye on her, and she has the potential," but she hasn't unlocked her motivation and her dedication yet, whatnot. So
so most of these like episodes and kind of the screen time for the series is spent on just kind of individual not descriptions, but I guess expositions of the personalities of each character, right? The
Pretty much.
setting up the backgrounds and stuff like that. And not as much the focus on like super kind of uh I guess I want to say interpersonal interactions with the networking between the cast. It's more just like this is the character, they have these views like towards some other people, but it's like in general they're this character, and it's
Yeah.
mostly in those episodes. Yeah.
And the key visual has like Izumi's group of friends, and then Nana over there as like the sixth member, but she's the rival character. But
Uh-huh.
three of Izumi's friends, they're not as good as her. Like they weren't invited to this like what was it, like some sort of like special race in the training school to like
Okay.
to show to see if they could like become substitutes for the international for the to become substitutes for the official racers and whatnot. So the only ones that made it of the group was I and Izumi. So that's why I said the other three they're they don't really matter right now.
Mhm.
But it's like this. There's this triangle of three main characters. Even though Kumamoto I is listed as supporting, I bet I know why, and it's kind of showing because in one of the later episodes it shows Ai's overtraining and she collapses, and then she comes back to the training camp after what like a small vacation, and she's covered in bandages, so she might kind of obvious what they're trying to do with her
The
character.
classic, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah. So overall, it's a pretty. I want to say it's an honest series,
What do you mean by that?
as in it's pretty straightforward in what it does. It doesn't beat around the
Oh, okay,
bush,
okay, okay. Okay.
and so what you see is what you get. There's no underlying. There's no underlying like funny moments in this series. It's pretty much a straight serious sports series.
Okay.
That's why I say it's honest. But yeah,
Okay.
what else?
But I mean, so what do you think it's hmm I guess, well, when you say it's just like a straightforward sports series, are you saying just, it's just going through like the standard sports stuff that it's doing without um being overly dramatic about some of the characters and like their backgrounds and stuff like that? Is that what you're sort of getting at?
There's no, so far no one's had there's no real tragic heroine in this series. They're all like, oh,
Okay.
we come in through cycling from all walks of life, and we want to take this seriously. But the only one who's wishy-washy is Izumi, but she has to find her motivation because she has the potential to be Nana's rival. And like I said, I has proclaimed herself to be Nana's rival, and vice versa. Then Nana's saying like, "Oh, you're holding back, so I don't see you as a rival. I don't like you that much."
Hmm.
But but yeah, she has to find her motivation before she becomes the true Rinkai, I guess, in a way.
Hmm. No.
That's pretty much the story. What else?
Uh,
Visuals.
Visuals, yeah.
Now the main thing. The visuals they suck. 3D is bad, dude.
Oh no. So what are they? What are
All the
they?
racing
So
is
first question is,
CG, right?
so
Like
what do
all the
they?
Like ninety
Yeah.
cycling.
percent of the racing is CG. Like
Do
one,
they show like weird details, like how in music anime when sometimes they turn the players into they turn the player playing into 3D CG. You sometimes see the fingers in 3D and they're moving like very awkwardly,
yeah.
very robot. Is it kind of similar in that sense?
No, it's when they're racing, they use a lot of CG, and
Okay.
you can tell the CG because everyone has the same body type, everyone has
Uh.
roughly the same face and the same movements, and they're
Mhm,
like, it looks bad.
mhm,
Like if you look at it, it looks really bad. You can see from like the trailer, like even from the trailer, it looked really bad and flat and whatnot. And sometimes they juxtaposition like, oh, here's a 3D body, but here's the 2D face when they're zooming in, and you can really tell, and it's jarring.
mhm.
It looks bad. But sometimes when they don't use 3D, it looks good. It's fine. It matches with everything else in the series and whatnot. So, but that's like my only real caveat because 3D looks bad. I don't know why they chose to do that. Maybe it's because it's easier to animate cycling if they all use the same body type and the same animation over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, if they're animating
Sure.
a bunch of cyclers next to each other, then they just use the same model and animation set and copy paste it
But
and just
Yowamushi
make them a
Pedal
bunch of
didn't
different
look like
colors.
that.
Yeah, well, Yowamushi Pedal also had money behind it, so you know.
But yeah,
Okay.
other than that, it's surprisingly decent for what it is. So, I mean, like I said, it's honest. So I can't fault it for being honest. They're not trying to be funny or quirky or anyway. It's pretty straightforward. It's no Keijo, that's for sure. Even though
Well,
Keijo was
Keijo,
played seriously.
yeah, I think I think one of the I guess hotter takes in this podcast is probably I have come around in a sense to
Wait, you hated Keijo? Damn,
I didn't
what's wrong
hate
with you?
Keijo. It's like uh it's kind of like there like when it first was announced and when the initial episodes came out, I was kind of like whatever. But um I think looking back, I appreciate the cheesiness more than I did when it was live, if that makes sense. So, um, I think hitting that sort of same tone is a very high bar to hit because it's very hard to do that with something that's not Keijo, especially if it's something like Rinkai, right? Where it's like it's all supposed to be serious and wow, we're cycling, we're such cyclers. It's a little bit hard to do the same thing. So,
But yeah,
yeah.
like I said, no one in this series has like an overly quirky personality. Like one of
Okay.
the, I
Yeah,
guess,
they're trying to do straight man stuff, right?
like
Yeah.
maybe I want to say like one of the most outlandish things is that one of Izumi's group is the daughter of a Zaibatsu, and she's like, "Oh, money, money. I don't have any. Like I bet 1 million yen on these two racing queens in like the race that we watched, but they lost, so I just lost 1 million yen." But then after that, she's like immediately goes serious, like saying like, "Oh, about that time, like in my Zaibatsu family, about this time, everyone in my family goes independent for a few years and then comes back to the Zaibatsu." So it's like, oh, now she has no. She went from having money to no money and being independent. So back to serious mode again. So like, yeah, that's
Okay.
why I say it's honest in this series. Everyone's serious. What else? The opening is what is the opening? What's it called? The opening is Wind Shifters, sung by
Okay.
Riko Sasaki. I don't know who Riko Sasaki is.
Isn't she also one of the people in voice acting in the? I feel like she is, right?
She's Kurume. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she's the race. She's one of the two race queens. So good
Yep,
for
yep.
her.
Okay. It's kind of like that's almost like a Symphogear-ish setup, right? Because it's like how Misuke Nana is one of the like the main like two idols, big idols in Symphogear. It's like that similar thing.
Same figure. I think give me Nanoha.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, so I
Yeah.
guess overall, uh,
Overall, Mal has it as a 5.86. What the hell?
Probably because it's
you know,
ugly.
Maybe they don't like the CG. I mean, I hate the CG,
yeah.
but like
Yeah, I mean that's usually how mall goes.
the CG looks pretty bad. I want to say, and it looks slow. I want to say, if you want to make the CG look better, you might want to play the racing parts in like 1.5 to 2 times speed, just to make it look like an actual race. But like, whatever. That's a small caveat.
Yeah.
Overall, it's actually a pretty enjoyable series. Like,
Okay.
it's honest. That's what I say. Like it knows what it is, and it's not trying to be anything else.
Okay.
High speed. I
Well,
have a feeling high speed etoile is gonna not be honest. Gonna be
that's
pretty.
very.
Gonna be
I
pretty
think that's a
outlandish compared to this one,
yeah.
which
High
is more
speed
grounded in
Atoll
reality.
yeah. High speed Atoll's premise isn't just very good from the onset. I think so. But
At least the CG
anyway.
is gonna be better in high speed etoile. But yeah, overall, I have to give this like a solid
So
6.7. It's honest.
okay. Good. Good.
No
Good.
no
Good.
real no real like bad things to say. People might say
Mhm.
it's boring, but I say it's honest. Points
Honest.
points been docked for bad CG though.
Yeah.
You didn't
All
have to
right.
do that. Just like put in the 2D parts and whatever.
Yeah, they
But yeah,
gotta they
overall,
gotta strut out their 3D CG technique technologies. They
well,
gotta.
maybe they should have hired a better studio for the CG. Oh wait, they're probably doing high speed etoile. But yeah,
All
overall,
right.
I'd recommend it.
Okay.
Why not?
Pretty.
Pretty,
Pretty.
it's honest.
Pretty good. Well, thank you very much, Toast, for covering this. This is again Rinkai, anime about women cycling. I guess track cycling, set in sort of more like an alternate kind of setting. Uh, it is a multimedia project. They are probably trying to make a whole bunch of other kind of material in this sort of promotional for. They're probably going to make like a
Maybe
game
it's a
radius of
promotional
like
for the actual like Korean League, I guess. Apparently, it's popular in Japan. Sure.
maybe yeah,
I didn't.
maybe
I didn't
yeah.
research. I didn't do research enough on that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they're at least going to make a game off this. At least going to make a mobile game off this for sure. But yeah. So if you like, I guess more serious kind of setups, maybe give this a look or check it out a little bit.